the story behind the Brutal Welkom Killing, which gives us an insight into the minds of two people that were eventually convicted for the murder of Micheal van Eck. That was, of course, Chane van Herdeen and Maartens van der Merwe. Jana joins me now in studio. She's an author and a journalist. Jana, good morning. Thank you very much for joining me.
Thanks, Sam.
This is not a horror story. I can imagine horror stories. This is on a level that not only rocked the town of Welkom, rocked South Africa, had international attention, and we never saw these two suspects coming.
I think that is what makes this. Not only was the murder very unique in South Africa, it's only one of 10 reported cases in the world. The fact that he was dismembered and skinned, but I think what blindsided everybody is that the two suspects and who was finally convicted of the murder just did not fit the profile at all.
You're a journalist, you've experienced a lot, and you also talk about the farm murders before that you've had to cover where the three workers were eventually identified as the perpetrators. But what was it about this story that not resonated with you, but a story that said, you know, I want to develop the story further. I want people to, I want to understand it, because I think you were also grasping with why did this happen in the first place? Who are these people that committed this crime, and why was Micheal the victim?
Definitely, I think when the murder happened, it just blindsided everybody. We just didn't expect something like that to happen. And like I said, when the two murderers were caught, it was they just looked so ordinary. People looked back and they thought, oh, we used to see them walking down the street and they looked so normal. And both of them are very well-mannered, educated youngsters that had their whole future before them. And I just didn't understand why somebody would do something like that. And I think I wrote the book for myself to understand their psyche, and also everybody that was shocked by their deeds to also get a glimpse of what was going on in their heads.
Did you finally unravel that mystery? Did you get to a point where you go, I can't condone it, I can't think it, but I understand what was happening to Chane and Maartens? Because they not only lured this young man, they decapitated him. They severed his limbs from his body. I mean, it takes another kind of human being to do something like that.
I don't think on our level of understanding that we'll ever understand why did they do it. But if you do go into their psyche, and I went into the SMSs between the two of them, and you could see that they created their own little world, their own universe, where everything that they did and talked about to them was normal.
Did you find while you were putting this book together that there were moments you were depressed? Because you had unfiltered access to pictures. I think you said it took almost 4 years for people to get comfortable enough to talk to you, and you had to kind of peg away at it every day. But now you get all the pictures, you see the gruesome murders, you're speaking to family members, you're speaking to the perpetrators' families, and it all gets stuck with you emotionally.
Well, it was very bad. I had a lot of empathy with the parents of Micheal van Eck and his family. They did not want the book to be written. They didn't want their child's murder to be revisited. I think it's something the whole of Welkom would rather forget. So I think their trauma traumatized me as well, and I questioned myself a lot whether it's worth telling the story. But at the end of the day, you know, it was a very hard journey, but I'm glad that I stuck it out.
Has this changed Welkom? Is Welkom the same?
I don't think Welkom will ever be the same after this. I think this was worst case scenario for them.
There's something that I've never thought of, and I think you delve into it. We don't often think of the family members of the perpetrators, the people that have been convicted of the actual murder. And your heart goes out to the family of Chane and Maartens, and not in a contrived way, but because you've got to spend time with them. They themselves are shocked by the gruesome murders.
Like when I spoke to Chane's dad, he's a very nice person, he's very honest. You know, when he spoke to me, I could see that he was extremely shocked. He was as blindsided by what his child did as everybody else. And I felt very sorry for him because that's not the way I think he raised her.
You wrote this book. This book just came out in September. How comfortable are you now? I mean, you've had to deal with it for so long, 4 years as part of your life. Have you made peace with it? Is it somewhere in a closet? Are you able to move on to the next book or day to day? Or is this something that will always touch the fabric of who you are?
Sure, when I finished the book and I handed it in, I thought to myself, this is it, I'm done with this. You know, and now the book comes out and people are talking about it. So, yeah, I've had to still think about it. I think it will always be a part of me. I will never forget the story and what I learned about Chane and Maartens.
How dark are these two people?
Very. They are very, very sick.
Okay, we unfortunately run out of time. It's a fascinating read. It's journalist and author Jana van Merwe talking to us about the book called Grave Murder, the story behind the Brutal Welkom Killing. And it's all related to an unfortunate story that happened in April of 2011 when the city of Welkom was rocked by what can only be described as a horror story when the dismembered body of Micheal van Eck was discovered in a cemetery. And ultimately, 2 people were identified and were convicted of that crime, Chane van Herdeen and Maartens van der Merwe. And Jana van der Merwe... Jana van der Merwe eventually unpacked the story, told the story, and the book is available at all good bookstores. Go and get it. It is a fascinating read. It's probably one of my list. It's on my list for December. So if you're interested in getting something that people will talk about, go and get this book. It's called Grave Murder, the story behind the Brutal Welkom Killing. We take an ad break. You don't go anywhere.